the waters, the water of the earth. It also stands for wisdom, because Saraswati also holds the water. So here she is ready for this transition into becoming the bride who is a bride of an ascetic. Okay. Akshamala in one hand and the Kamandalu in the other, which is holding the water of the earth itself, as well as it is the wisdom. And one of the versions is saying it's the wisdom of the arts. So she is actually the mother of the arts. Okay. So next is Chandraghanta. Chandraghanta is a very interesting one. Here she is actually going to be married to Shiva. And she has made herself worthy. She's a lot of power in her own body. She's not that emaciated ascetic. She's now a beautiful young woman, maiden, jewels and everything. And the wedding day arrives. The parents are getting ready to receive the groom. And Lord Shiva, in his true fashion, either because of mischievousness or he wants to be received as he is, decides to come in his Ghora form, which means snakes and matted hair and his body smeared with ashes, surrounded by his deformed Gana army. Each one looking really strange, shouting and drumming, and they come along. Himavan is totally shocked. His wife faints. She says, I can't handle this. The whole town is speechless. So what does Parvati do? She takes on an equal feminine form of this weird, hair matted, strange looking female. And that is how they get married. And he also says to Shiva, I also want to have the Chandra. So that's why she's called Chandraghanta. He says, okay. And she also has the Pere Chandran on her head. She is very tough looking woman, almost martial, but then her real martial self comes later. But here she's one of those self-confident females. Then they get married. They are together. She is not aware of her divine self, that she is actually Shakti Mata. She doesn't know it as yet. So Shiva actually literally holds the mirror to her and allows her to unfold into her full potential as a Shakti. And so Kushmanda actually means the one who has created the cosmic egg. And one of the stories is that egg came out of her beautiful smile. And this was the beginning of all creation. So here is Kushmanda, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Forgot to switch off my phone. Yeah. So Kushmanda, she is the Devi who is filled with the power of being a Shakti. Okay. And did I tell you how many arms that Chandraghanta had? Chandraghanta has 10 arms, 10 hands. She's holding a Trishula, a Gadai, bow and arrow, lotus, sword, bell, and also doing the Abhaya Hasta. So now we come to Skanda, Kushmanda. She has 8 hands. Chakra, Gada, bow and arrow, lotus, sword, Akshamala, and very interestingly, a honey pot. She is offering sweetness because she is the source of creation now. She has a honey pot as well as a kamandalu. the water of wisdom, as well as the honey, which is considered to be the, like milk, like Shiram, honey is considered to be a complete food. And so it becomes the source for all growth. And she's mounted on a tiger. After this, Skanda is born. And Skanda actually is a huge struggle for Parvati to own him. As the story goes, he's found in the water in that Sharavana Poihai, and he's taken by the 6 ladies, and she has to retrieve him from the possessive hands of the 6 Kanya, Shad Kanya, and they have to give that child to her, and then she becomes very possessive of the child. So Skanda Mata is her mother location. She has only 4 arms here, and lotus, the child, and the Abhaya Hasta. She has 2 lotuses. Okay, she also has an Abhaya Hasta. So here she is that feminine spirit which is somewhere around in our Anahata Chakra, where we are ready to take on the responsibility for other life forms. She's filled with love. She's got a very sweet face, gentle, loving, motherly face. But then this moves on to Katyayani. Again, once more, a very martial aspect of the mother. Katyayani is where all humanity is her children, you see. It's no longer my child. So when all humanity is my child, then she has to defeat and destroy all that is negative. This is about the time when the Mahishasura Mardini, all that happens. So she's ferocious. She's angry. She's also capable of combat. Okay. And Katyayani has, again, all the implements of warfare. The Vajrayudham, the sword, and a cup also. This cup is a very strange one. Okay. Katyayani has 4 hands. The cup is Kalaratri. Sorry. So she has a sword, a shield, a lotus, and a trident. And the shield is a very interesting symbol from the Shilpa Shastras. Shield is protecting that which is not good, protecting yourself from that which is not good. So it is that which is a dharmic weapon of dharma. Because you're not attacking, nor are you letting everything come into you. So you are protecting yourself from the negative energies of the world. So this is the only one in which Katyayani is the only one who has a shield. So she is in dharmic warfare. Everything that is negative, all that is wrong in the world, she is ready to get rid of. So it will be somewhere in our a little bit in the Anahata, maybe in our Vishuddhi area, where we can use our power to be able to deal with the world outside. And then you move on to Kalaratri. Kalaratri is Kali, Mahakali, because she is the one, after having experienced her capacity to battle and to protect, she now becomes a power of destruction. She just goes out there and raises everything. And because of this, she considered to have become black in color, completely blackened with the rage. And this is where she's holding the cup. And this cup, one of the versions is that is for the taking the blood and the energies of your enemies to gather it. And Kalaratri, because she has become so deformed and so ugly, Parvati is now feeling very uncomfortable. I have become this. What do I do? So Brahma says to her, go to Manasarovar and bathe in the waters to get back your untouched form. because through warfare, through anger, through destruction, she has completely lost her innocent form. So she goes back, and that is Mahagauri. She is supposed to have come out of the waters radiant like the moon, filled with light. And this radiant as the moon and filled with light is actually the mother of the home. She's the homemaker. She's the one who protects, who nurtures, who loves, who's compassionate, who cares, who just looking after the children, fostering them, nurturing them, nourishing them. So Mahagauri is the one we reach out to in our hour of need, because she comes to us with so much of love and affection. And she holds a trident. She also holds the damaru, which is the source of sound. And then she has a pink lotus, lotus of joy. Okay, Ananda. And this person, this Mahagauri, is the one that actually, how do I say it? Not just the homemaker. She's the one who very lovingly, that's the one we reach out to when we need somebody's lap to cuddle into, to be loved. And chances are it is somewhere here and maybe partially here in our forehead, in this area, because this is where you're already coming together in a very wholesome, balanced form. And then finally it is Siddhidatri. She has received the complete Siddhi. She is completely in tune, completely balanced. She's sitting on a lotus. She's not sitting on any animals anymore. Fiery animals like tigers and bulls and all the rest of it. She's sitting on a beautiful lotus, completely at peace. And it is also said that this is the point where she and Shiva actually become one. This is the state of the Ardhanarishwara also, where she becomes the other and the other becomes herself. So here she has 4 hands, chakra, shank. For the first time she has a shank. And then a trident and a gada. These are the 4 implements in her hands. She's smiling, she's lovely, she's radiant, she's completely at peace with her powers. This is how the whole story goes.